Welcome back to the Leeds Rhinos Podcast. It's a Monday, which means it's match review time. We'll be looking back on the massive win against Leigh Leopards last week in the Betfred Super League, and also looking ahead to a derby clash down at the Jungle against the Castleford Tigers coming up this week. But first of all, the reason we've got a change of surroundings, we're down here at the Bartercard Training Complex. The Rhinos team have just left. They've finished for the day. We've just got the breaking news that Brad Arth has committed his future to the club for 2026. A huge decision for Brad and the club, and we're delighted to have Brad on board for next season. My name is Phil Daly. I'm the head of media and PR at the Rhinos. I'm delighted to be joined by Assistant Coach Jamie Langley. Jamie, a big decision for Brad and a great decision for the club.
Yeah, massive decision. Obviously, BA, I don't envy him. It's been a really tough one, but everybody's really buzzing down here. We found out probably around midday, so I think this morning it was still pacing the halls, and I think he'd got his mind made up, and he'd obviously consulted with Shell and Charles and the lads over the weekend. But it has been a difficult decision for him. I don't envy him for it. He's loved his time here. He does love his time here. He loves working with the boys. He loves the fan base. He loves the city of Leeds. He's really fallen in love with it. But understandably so, his heart's back home with his family, and the lads are back there. And Charles going to be starting uni back there next year. So yeah, it's been a really difficult decision for him. I think the lads buy in, and the way it's gone thus far this season. We're doing all right. We're tracking all right. We're going in the right direction, and I think it's probably just tipped the scales in our favour a little bit. So yeah, we're all buzzing. I'm sure he don't give much away. His announcement to the boys just sort of poked his head right at the corner, and I'm staying, lads, and that were it. No fanfare, and there's no ego about BA whatsoever, and that's why we all love him, love working with him, and just so happy that he's committed to the club.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. I suppose that's one of the things. I mean, you grew up in a rugby household as well, and you played professionally, and then started on your coaching journey. I suppose from a fan's point of view, you can sometimes forget the sacrifice that your families have to make to give you the opportunities to coach at the highest level and play at the highest level.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty lonely being married into a culture, a coach's lifestyle, whether it be a partner or your family. It's what you get paid for, and we love it, obviously. So it's not a sacrifice for us in that sense, because it's something we love doing. But it takes a lot of understanding, and there's got to be a lot of mutual understanding as well, because the job is 24/7. It's long hours, it's long days. If you're not in here, you're sat at your laptop at home working. So yeah, it's there's a lot of sacrifice from the families, and not more so when you're living halfway across the world as well. Shell's been back and forth with Charlotte as well, and the lads have been obviously debuting and playing back over in Australia. So Michelle's been back and forth watching the boys' games, then coming back here. BA's probably not obviously had that opportunity, so everything he watches is remotely. But he speaks to his boys every day on the phone. You hear him every single morning. He's on the phone just having a catch up, and yeah, I can't imagine how difficult it's been. But yeah, you're right. There is a lot of sacrifice, but we love what we do, and when you're getting good results and good performances, it makes it a bit easier and a bit worth it. When you don't, we're not very nice to be around, and our lass will always say it, my missus is really good at understanding it, and I think I'm a bit better at separating my home life from my work life. But if you get a loss on a Thursday night, we had that Wakefield game, and then we had a week off, and you just find yourself kicking stones and shit. Come on, cheer up! You can't let it ruin his week off. Sometimes you just can't help it. You care that much, don't you? But yeah, he's sacrificed more than most. So a lot of empathy for that, and really, really happy that his family's give him the backing to commit to Leeds for next year and beyond.
Yeah, and that's important. He spoke so very openly about his family and that part of that decision making process. But I think the boys, you mentioned it, you touched on it there. I think the boys have had a big impact on him. He said when he first came for the first 10 weeks, I'll only stay if I can get an impact and I can see a difference it's making to the team. And in the last year, how much we've turned things around. I think because he's a passionate rugby league man at heart, isn't he, Brad? He loves his game, and I think when he sees what the lads are doing, that'll have been a big pull on him wanting to stay and finish the job off.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Like you said, said to us, said to the staff, it's different, isn't it? It's a different conversation if things aren't going our way and we're not quite getting the results, and you're probably not enjoying it as much. Not that everything should be based on win-loss, but unfortunately in sport we're in a results-based business and you do get judged on that, and a lot of our enjoyment comes from winning. Like, we all love to win, don't we? So yeah, although like you look at some of the games we've lost this year, we've not lost many games. The ones we have lost have been by a try or 2 points or 1 point. We've been in every game, so in terms of our performances and how hard we're competing and like our identity, what's been instilled, the blueprint that BA's put in place since he came in, like the boys are delivering on that every single week, and he's been really vocal on that. So regardless of like the win-loss column, like you can't ask for any more of what the lads are delivering in terms of the character. So I think that goes a long way as well when you're getting that buy-in and you've got that emotional connection to the group, which we have got and BA has got with these boys. Then that goes a long way, mate. It definitely goes a long way. So it's sometimes not all about winning and losing. All that does help, but I think we have got a really good connection here. And yeah, it's your home away from home, mate. This is your family away from your family, because you spend more time here than you do at home. So like you've got to enjoy what you're doing and get on with the people that you're working with, haven't you? And I think that's made it a much easier decision for him.
Yeah, well, that's the fantastic news about Brad dealt with, and we're all really excited, and I'm sure that the fans that go across to Cass on this week will be giving it plenty to celebrate that as well. Looking back to the Leigh game, we had a high scoring win over them at our place. Going over there, we talked it was probably going to be a different sort of game. They had an incredible run after that one. They got 8-0 in front. Were you pleased with how the boys responded to that?
Yeah, we were. We thought like we started the game reasonably well. First few sets, we're controlling field position, and then as can happen in any given game, and certainly when you're away from home, we got a 6 again given against us, which you can argue that some calls are harsh, and you could say like it's an away pen or whatever, but all those decisions even themselves up across the course of a season, so you can't dwell on that. But that just gives them a bit of field position, and we backed that up with a repeat set. Jock gets tackled in the in goal, so we have to defend again, and then we have to defend again, and yeah, we ended up conceding on the back of that, and then I think we came up with a yardage error. So it was not too dissimilar to Wakefield, where we started pretty well, and then we almost had like back-to-back double negatives errors, which put ourselves under pressure. And we'll back our defence all day. We've got one of the best defences in the comp. The boys work incredibly hard for each other, but you can only sustain so much, and you're going to get one thing wrong every now and again, which we did, which led to 2 tries. But we always say if teams are going to score, it's going to be right in the corner, and we've got the system fixes for that, which were easy fixes. But ultimately, like Leigh are a really good like attacking team. Like they pride themselves on their attack. They recruit really well for their game model, which is, it's a power game. They've got a lot of good athletes in the team, powerful athletes, a lot of strike. And then with Lockie Lamb in there, he's a really intelligent half, and he just pulls all the strings for them. So they're a difficult team to play against, more so when you're just handing them possession like we were. So, it's a bit frustrating for us. That is the big fix for us. But, yeah, then just our ability to respond. So from 8-0 down, to get ourselves back in the game, and fortunately we managed to get over the line a couple of times, a couple of back-to-back sets in our favour, which we know that if we can get to the end of the tackle count, we're the best team in the comp statistically at scoring on last plays, whether it be from a kick or a run play. So it's just about like completing your sets, getting to the end of the set, playing in the right area of the field, and we'll come up with points like at some point, and we did. So Lockie gets over, Sammy gets over on one, and then before you know it, you're 10-8, and we felt like we'd sort of weathered that bit of an early storm. And then you come out at half time, and we did similar again. I think we came up with 3 yardage errors again, which just hands them possession. But fortunately, as defence held up, and we managed to keep them out, and then come up with some big plays like down the track to seal the win.
Yeah, I find that fascinating there what you said about the teams, if they're going to score, we're going to try and keep them as wide as possible. Because you could say, we were fortunate they missed both their kicks, but we're doing the little things to increase the percentage chances of them not being able to make that kick. I mean, the best kickers can slot them over, but if you can keep them out wide, then you give yourselves a chance. And obviously, 2 tries apiece in that first half, but we go in at 10-8, and that was a big boost for the lads at half time.
Yeah, both. As I say, both their tries were wide, and Gaz O'Brien's a top quality kicker, as we know. We've seen that throughout his career. I think he put one across the front and one just shy of the right post. But yeah, every system will say similar things. Defensively, you don't want any, but like one of the main rules, you don't want anything coming through. So if they do score, it's got to be right on the corner post, and it's got to be in traffic, and you've got to have someone trying to stop that try. And there were easy fixes. That's what. Like, we're doing so many good things, both sides of the ball, and the things we're not quite getting right. Like the fixes are so easy. It's not like we're looking at it, scratching our heads, thinking, like, how do we solve that, or we're just not good enough, or we haven't got the cattle or the quality. Like every single one, like the first try, for example, like Joy Fengawi gets hold up. You could argue a knock on. Ash were actually trying to challenge the play because he's arguing, is it a stoppage? Because the play got held up and then taken back to the 10 metres. The ref said no, the play's not stopped. But then they scored, so Ash said, can I go back to the previous play the ball? And the ref said, well, that wasn't the previous play the ball. But technically it probably was, because Offengawi got tackled and our goal line held up and then had to play it. So it's still the same player playing the ball. So we were saying, like, can we challenge that? Because we felt like he knocked on anyway, by the by. But we were too clean from that point. Like, we let him get up quick. And then he dictated to the ref when he played the ball. Usually the referee will say, hold, the defence gets set, and then you play the ball. Whereas Offengawi, pretty smart from him, just went back and played it, and then the ref blew the whistle. So it was like, well, we almost got dictated to. So we're saying, what's the fixes there? Well, don't let him up off the deck. Like, as we're too nice there. Like, hold him down a little bit for a bit longer. Then maybe we can take our time setting the markers. So if Jock just like ambles up there, the ref probably can't restart play until we've got our markers set. But then we get his line all wrong. So we go 7 and 5 split from that position when they've got Lockie Lamb and O'Brien on one side. Yeah. So like some of it will be under our control, but we say, boys, like that is 100% in our control. We need to be scanning there, know where the threats are, get our numbers where they are. And they ended up getting us like with a number advantage, and Chris Hankinston still nearly came up with a play, and he ended up scoring in the corner. So like the fixes are there. It was just frustrating that they got us, but as I say, our responses thereafter were really good.
How important was that 40-20 kick from Jake? That seemed to, particularly in the first half, turn the momentum back in our favour. Yeah, big one from Jakey. He's had a couple of them this year, and it's difficult to defend against because anywhere like in that area of the field, if we're inside our 40 and he's like first stance stepping up as first receiver, like what does the long side winger do in the opposition? Because Jakey's just scanning where that long side winger is. If he's deep off the end of the line, then he'll probably show to kick and we'll pass and we'll take metres down an edge. If the winger's up expecting a shift, then Jake's got that boot in his arsenal. So Lockie Lamb got us one, didn't he, where he just caught Hawley off guard a little bit. There's some good kickers in this comp. Mark Sneed's another one. They can pick those sort of kicks, so it gives you some headaches defensively when you're defending against them sort of players. So big play from Jake, got us that field position. Sometimes you need a bit of a momentum swing like that, don't you, to get your field position. They got one in second half, obviously, and from there we were able to capitalise on it. And as I say, any time I get to end of a set, we're generally pretty dangerous. So it's just about completing sets thereafter. Yeah. And in the second half, you mentioned sluggish start, but defence was really impressive. The one where that we held them up over the line, they looked certain to score there, but the commitment from the 3 or 4 tacklers who were straight in there to hold them up. I think the Leigh fans, certainly the Leigh smoke machine, was celebrating the try early on, but it wasn't to be. Yeah, I don't think we could see what had happened because of all the smoke. That was a big play. So like leading up to that, Pappy hits a really hard crash, like a crash ball, like coming into contact, and Morgan Gannon and James Bentley are in that tackle, like at marker. So like our left edge back rower and our edge middle there are in that tackle. So that's right over on our left edge there, right. They then on the next play shift to their left through Tessinu. Harry actually, like, we back RD to make aggressive reads, and Maka does a good job getting high for us, putting pressure on, makes him play early. Harry does a good job. He just needs to keep Tessinu on his inside shoulder, so it enables New a bit too much space on the outside. He skips anyway, but then Hawley does a good job getting high, sending him back inside rather than allowing a 2v1. So he turns New back inside, like chases him down, he slips his tackle. He finds a pass. Who's in that next tackle? Like Morgan Gannon comes from our left edge, like never stops moving, jogs all the way across, bang, hits him with a legs tackle. They get up, and the play to Lamb.
like we're a little bit short on that edge. Lockie edges his bets. He don't quite fill the line because he's looking at like Lamb's kick threat and trust Jock to get across on the inside. Lamb sees the space, plays inside to Hanley, who's come off their right centre, who gets an offload away. Who's in the next tackle? James Bentley. So it's like the guys who were in the previous ruck on the opposite side have worked all the way across, never stopped moving. And then Harry, Lockie and Bentos came up with a massive play on Tessinu, who's arguably probably the most dynamic, powerful outside back in the comp at the minute. So that would a big play for us to stop that try. Just a testament to how hard the lads are working for each other and how we keep turning up and responding now. We've done that. We've had to do that a lot this season against Saints a few times, which the game didn't go our way. We had to do it against Wakefield. Again, the game didn't go our way. We had to do it again. So we've got to learn and improve certain areas so that we're not having to do that as much. But it's good to know that we've got it in the locker should we need it. And
you'll need that in playoff probably. It's that do or die time there. I was really pleased for James Bentley when he got over for the try as well. He's been working hard in recent weeks, and his timing on that run was perfection, just to be on the shoulder there to take that pass.
Yeah, so we obviously we know in terms of our last plays, our kicking strategy and our kick compete strategy. Grixie does a lot of work with the boys around that, and we get quite a lot of rewards on last plays from it. So the middles, Mick's had one, hasn't he? I think Cam might have had one, Sambo's had one, now Bentos has had one. So they're all sniffing around there. They're all the old flies around the proverbial, aren't they? But he knows that, if Harry's going to get up and compete for that one, there's a chance he's coming down with it. And if you look as well, Sambo's right there sniffing around it. So we've got a couple of middles there sniffing, because they're not going to get any easier tries than that. So they all know there's an opportunity there from that field position. So yeah, we're happy to see Bentos get over. And yeah, I thought he did a good job for us coming off bench. He did what he does best, and it's his effort areas, his energy, and he was very gritty and he did it. Yeah, he played well, Bentos.
And it felt like a big win, encapsulated by Brodie Croft's celebration after his try. I thought he needed to just have a quick breath there. He really erupted after scoring that. I think it showed maybe on the back of the mentioned there the long break after the Wakefield game, the frustration of the 2 weeks after losing that to Wakefield seemed to come out there as we obviously got 8 points in front at that stage. Yeah,
because I thought Crofty were unlucky not to get the first try given. We've all watched it again, and I'm pretty sure that's a try. But for whatever reason, it wasn't. But yeah, so he was ecstatic to get that. It was a great try in the lead up. Callum comes up with a big play for us. In the in the dying moments of the game, Cal's been out there a long time, 69 minutes, grafting defensively, and then to come up with that play and pick that pass. Lockie came up with 2 or 3 big carries for us at the end of that game as well, and then brought Crofty to be on the end of it. Was massive. But that game could have gone either way. We came up short against Wakefield. We lost by a point in the last second. Leigh had their opportunities in that game, and that's what's been great about, I think, Super League this year. It's so competitive. We spoke about this on a previous podcast that anywhere, Salford have had an unfortunate year, and Catalan's probably by their own standards. But if everybody gets the full complement of cattle out there any given week, anyone can beat anyone, and they had their opportunities to beat us, and it was similar to us against Wakefield. So yeah, we've been in some tight games, and it was just nice to come out on the right side of one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fantastic playoff series. When you look at all the results around there, Saints seem to have got themselves back into a great run of form. They had a big win at Wakefield. Obviously, Wigan and Hull KR are doing what they're doing at the top there, so it's all building up nicely to the playoffs. Just looking ahead to this week against Cass, our second visit to the jungle this season. What are you expecting from them?
Yeah, it'll be tough as always. Going to jungle, it comes with its own challenges. Obviously, it's a small pitch. I think they play field position and play the pitch really well. So you've got to be smart going into the game and have an appreciation and respect for that. And I think since Magsy ended up leaving and Chesy's taken over for the time being, they've tightened everything up in terms of how they're playing. So probably a much more risk-averse style of rugby, but they're getting to end of sets, they're grinding out games, and they're completing really high, so that makes it difficult to play against anyone. And then you've got Joe Westerman's in there, he's a top-class talent, and they've got some good OBs, some big powerful ball carriers, and depends on if who features, like Texoy, whether Sinny's back in there, but they've got some dangerous outside backs with speed as well. So the 2 games we played against them, we played against them at home, and it was a high-scoring game. They scored. They put some points on us towards the end of the game. They'd have given us them at their place. I think it was, what was it, 7-0 or something at half time?
Yeah.
Something like that. Again, so it's always tight. It's always an emotional game. Cass versus Leeds, as like sort of Leeds versus Wake is. We know that they're going to be on top form coming up against us, and we need to be on top form coming against them. So yeah, it's going to be as big a challenge as any challenge we've faced this year. Certainly backing up our performance against Leigh last weekend with another big one against Castleford, and not looking any further ahead than that.
And good to see Chris Hankinson obviously joined us last week. He's got a game under his belt now, and you know, we only had one training session and team run with the boys. So you expect him to improve even more now, having got that game time under his belt with the lads?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I've coached Chris before. He's a really intelligent player, really smart individual. Been in some good systems. Spent a lot of time in the Wigan system. Obviously, being at Salford under Rolls and the coaches there. So he's smart, mate. He knows the game inside out. He's really passionate about the game. Takes a lot of pride in his performance. And he was beating himself up after the game. Obviously, you want to put your best foot forward. He came up with a couple of errors, which uncharacteristic of him. Sometimes you're trying too hard, and you might want to overly impress, but you just have to go out and do your job, don't you? And he, them aside, he came up with some really big yardage carries for us. Found his front. He ran hard into contact. Complemented Ryan and Lockie really well out of the backfield, I thought. So if you take those couple of blips out of his game, he was really solid with the ball defensively. Again, like our system, it might not be too similar to a lot of systems, but Salford's not too dissimilar, so it makes that transition quite easy for him. And he's outside Ash as well, who defends pretty well, I'd say. All things considered, like Ash is really good. Like he makes good decisions within the system, so it makes it easier for Chris out there. And I thought his connection were good. Like the one try in the second half, we give too much time and space. Again, we've got a fix for it. It's great because we get a fix for that now going into the next few games, which is awesome. So we learn from that and we still win. That's a win-win for us. But other than that, I think he's slotted in really well. He's a really good lad. He'll be good around the group, around the boys, and he'll give everything he's got. Like, I've no doubt about that. So it's unfortunate that Alfie picked up his foot injury, because Alfie were doing a really good job for us. But Chris will come in and he'll make that spot his own, I'm sure, over these next few weeks. And he's got competition then around him as well. Obviously, Lummy's in the frame, and there's a couple more lads as well nipping at the heels. So
Fantastic stuff. Just round things up, we're talking about BAs staying on here. You work with a lot of coaches in your career. In terms of the coaches that you were coached by, who was the best one who you learnt the most from?
It's hard to say the best, because everybody brings their own attributes, don't they? Like the coaches I enjoyed playing under as a player, like in my early days, I was lucky enough to have Bernard Dwyer when he first retired. Coaching academy at Bradford, I loved Bernard, what he was about. Instantly respected him because of what he achieved as a player. He's hard as nails. Played a Challenge Cup final with 2 torn biceps, Bernard. Like, you just won't get that these days. Like, people just don't do that anymore. So I had a lot of respect for him. Mike Gregory, when he was coaching at Wigan, he coached me with England 18s. Had a lot of respect for Greg. Loved how he operated, how he was with the boys, how he saw the game, and then as I progressed into first team, obviously Brian Noble had taken over at that time, so Nobby was really good, really charismatic, good storyteller, brought things to life. Then when I started my coaching journey, then working alongside, Endo giving me the first opportunity at London, very detailed coach, very organised. Working with Wardy, who was just a great character, makes everything fun. Like, there's never a dull day in the office, and just makes everything enjoyable, going into it with a smile on your face. Worked with Alex Sanderson at Sale, who's just unbelievable, like a genius. Levels of creativity, just the importance of bringing things to life, making it interesting for the boys, constantly striving for more new ideas. And then again coming back, so working with Alex, who is one end of the spectrum there, to BA, bringing it back to the the most simple aspects of the game, and just driving the game model, like our standards, discipline, keeping everything really simple for the boys. So every coach has their own strengths. I think as long as you're authentic with it, the lads will appreciate that and buy into what you're trying to drive, because there's many ways of doing things, isn't there? As we all know. I think it's what's right for the group at that time. So I've been really fortunate to work with some world-class operators throughout my time, and as a player and as a coach. So yeah, they all bring something special in their own way.
And every day's a school day, always learning, always moving forward.
100%, mate.
Fantastic stuff. Well, thanks for joining us, Langers. I hope you've enjoyed the latest edition of the Leeds Rhinos podcast. We'll be back on Thursday for another Q&A edition as we look ahead to the Castleford Tigers game, big derby clash, as we look to continue the race for the playoffs and keep climbing up the Betfred Super League table. Thanks for joining us. Fantastic news that Brad Arthur's staying at the Rhinos, and we'll see you next time.